Welcome to this demo on how to use Spark instrumentation on CERN Swan, a web-hosted notebook service at CERN. This is part of the Apache Spark training delivered by CERN IT. So we'll be seeing today some workload on Spark and how we can measure it using integrations with Swan and Spark. The first integration that we're going to use is the one that allows us to connect to the Spark clusters. So we are going to connect to an Hadoop cluster called Analytics. We have a separate demo on the details for that. And I'm using here the additional instrumentation for Spark metrics. This is an advanced instrumentation that we'll be covering later on, which brings several parameters. And I also adding an external package called Spark Measure that we'll be using for demo purposes. So now we are connecting to our Analytics Hadoop cluster. This takes a while. This integration in Swan is creating for us a Spark session. So this means we will not have to run the first cell of the notebook that has the code to create a Spark session manually with the configuration and the rest that is needed. Okay, we have our Spark session, latest version of Spark as I record this, and now we have some additional links that we'll be using later for the Spark History Server, so the web UI of Spark, and the Spark Metrics integration with the dashboard for the performance that we'll be using also. Okay, so let's see, this is our Spark session. So we'll be using for this a query that comes from a TPCDS demo. I have that already pre-created on this Hadoop cluster, so we just need to map the tables there. We need only 3 tables. We already see the first instrumentation that we have available in Swan. It's called Spark Monitor. That will show you the details of the jobs that are being run. With the default tab. And also we can see the amount of active tasks and executor cores. The cluster that we are using here has dynamic allocation, so we'll get more cores as needed, and at least we request them from Yarn, and then we may be granted those. Okay, we have now the 3 tables that we need. So this is the query. It comes from the TPCDS benchmark. So we just need it as a way to generate some load. Okay, so we start the query here. The query spawns multiple jobs. And the first instrumentation that we want to look at is the web UI. I click again on the star. This time it's not allocating a Spark session because you already have it, but it just gives me a handy way to get the link to the Spark UI. I have a list of the jobs, what's happening, active jobs, completed jobs, so how many tasks are running, how many are needed. If I go on the last tab, I see the operations on SQL. So this is the current operation that we're running. This is basically the plan in graph visualization that Spark has. And then I can also see details about the executors, how many of them we have. We have several active at the moment, as dynamic allocation has requested more executors for us. We currently have 128 cores allocated for our job running. And also we have possibility to link to the logs, standard output and standard error. And we have information on the environment. This is something you can see also in the standard Spark documentation. Another thing I want to show you is an integration that we have done using integrating Spark metrics with the Grafana dashboard. And this is available in Swan, and there are also links in the course on how you can run it if you're not running Spark on Swan. This dashboard shows us how much CPU is being used, how much I/O is being done, and also has some details on a timestamp, on a time series type of visualization. Let's say now I have a window of 5 minutes. I can see the various executors, how many active tasks I had, and also how much CPU I was consuming. And there are many more details about the execution. You can see, for example, the garbage collection. You can see details on the memory, So we went up to about 30 gigabytes of memory in total allocated for this. We can also have details on the HDFS reads, on the shuffle operations, etc. Let's go back to our notebook. So the query is run, it's finished. It's relatively quick, about 20 seconds. Now I want to show you Spark measures. For Spark measure, you need to have a special jar that you've seen in the configuration. Also, you need to pip install Spark measure as a Python package that provides the binding for Python. This is already done, so I will not repeat it. So now I can just import the stage metrics, and this is a simple SQL that I can run just to make it run fast, and we see the results. We have many metrics that are shown to us that are useful for advanced troubleshooting, so we can understand how much CPU, how much runtime. Also, we have various metrics on the shuffle and record reads, etc. We can also run the TPCDS benchmark query again. This takes a little bit longer. This is being run and measured. We can go back to the Grafana dashboard where we can see, scrolling back, that the query is being run and the number of active tasks is being populated. There's of course a refresh rate of 10 seconds, so we don't get immediately the numbers. You have to wait a little bit. And this is the same execution that we had before. So going back to the notebook, this is now run, that's finished, and I can see the details of the execution. So you see the Spark Monitor gives me the timing of the various jobs, but here I have more information. I have the elapsed time, and then the executor runtime. So this is the sum of the runtime of all the tasks and all the executors, and same thing for the CPU and many other metrics. We don't have, of course, the time here to discuss their meanings, but they can be useful for troubleshooting. I want to go on and show you how you can increase the verbosity of the logging level. The default is the warning level. I can set it now to info. I will run the Q3 benchmark query again, and you can see that I have a lot of details about what is happening with the execution of this query. This you will use typically for debugging purposes and in the advanced mode. Okay, then you can set also the log level back to warning. Okay, this was a very short tour of the available options to monitor Spark. Monitoring Spark is quite complex in really advanced cases, but this should be enough to get you started. So I wish you good performance tuning and log troubleshooting for Spark. And this ends this video.